Wing!
Through.
Attention. Hook. Report.
Sir, 80th operation. All present and accounted for.
Maintenance group, all present and on account for, sir.
Hooray!
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 Yes!
Good morning, and thank you for attending the 80th Flying Training Wing Change of Command ceremony. I am First Lieutenant Sonia Dada, and I will be your narrator for today's event. Today we will welcome new leaders, Colonel Jeffrey D. Shulman and Chief Master Sergeant Scott D. Bradbury. Our ceremony today is a celebration of both continuity and change. Continuity in the form of a military tradition whose roots reach back through time to the legions of ancient Rome, and change with the passing of signets that once symbolized the transfer of command from one to another, as this great command acclaims an honored leader and welcomes a successor, through a ceremony that differs only in style, not substance, from those of the Romans. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is the 19th Air Force Commander, Major General Clark J. Quinn. Please stand for the arrival of the official party, and remain standing for the playing of ruffles and flourishes, the presentation of the colors by the Shepherd Air Force Base Honor Guard, the national anthem played by the Air Force Band of the West, and invocation by Chaplain Kelvin Francis.
Wing!
Through.
Attention. Hook. Present.
Present.
Huh.
Hello. Hi.
Sir, I present the command.
Hey, shoulder. Ho.
A distinctive feature of military ceremonies is the formal presentation of command to the presiding officer. The formation you see here today represents all the men and women who will serve with Colonel Shulman, Colonel Koch, and Chief Master Sergeant Bradbury.
Hello.
Knees. Head. Ho. Hey, shoulder. Ho. Color. Colors turn. Ho.
Order.
Order.
Hot. Hooray.
Hooray.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing while Chaplain Francis offers the invocation.
Wow, isn't it nice to have a band here? Wow, thank you very much. Please join me for a moment of prayer. Most gracious Creator of all, we thank you for the blessings of your presence and mercy to us that sustains us and keeps us. And I ask for your blessings today as we mark and celebrate this change of command. I give thanks for all the men and the women of this wing who carry out the mission. And I ask for your blessings and protection over them. Bless them and keep them, Lord, I pray. I give thanks for Colonel Koch and Ms. Amber, their hard work, tireless dedication, and their people-focused, servant-style leadership as they stepped up and took the stick. It is with a grateful heart that I ask for your blessings to continue to be with him and his family as they continue to serve the men and the women of this wing and their spouses. Bless them and keep them, Lord, I pray. Father, I also ask for your blessings for Colonel Shulman and Ms. Breen. Give them wisdom, discernment, and guidance to lead and to care for the people and the processes of this wing, this community, and our partner nations. Grant them strength and endurance for the journey, and your grace and your mercy to sustain them. Bless them and keep them, Lord, I pray. Bless them, Lord, and all the airmen of the 80th Wing. Keep us and sustain us by your watchful care. Look upon us with your favor, and grant us your peace and your protection. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Chaplain Francis, and a special thank you to the Air Force Band of the West from San Antonio, Texas. At this time, we would like to recognize our official party and their families. Commander, 19th Air Force, Major General Clark J. Quinn. Outgoing Commander, Colonel Mitchell J. Koch and his spouse, Amber, their children, Nolan, Alasia, Micah, and Eden. Incoming Commander, Colonel Jeffrey D. Shulman, his spouse Bree, and their children Taylor, Emmy, Evan, and Evie, and mother Marilyn. The Commander of Airmen today, Deputy Commander, 80th Flying Training Wing, Colonel Ryan Serrell, and his spouse Chrissy. The Guidon Bearer, assuming the responsibility of Command Chief, 80th Flying Training Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Scott D. Bradbury, his spouse Lisa, their children Stephen and Reagan, and parents Stephen and Kim Bradbury. We would also like to recognize some of our honored guests attending today's ceremony. Please hold your applause until all have been announced. Commander, 502nd Air Base Wing and Joint Base San Antonio, Texas, Brigadier General Russell D. Driggers. Wichita County Judge, the Honorable Jim Johnson. 82nd Training Wing Deputy Commander, Colonel Kirk Peterson. Representing Congressman Ronnie Jackson, Mrs. Liz Flynn. Wichita Falls City Manager, Mr. Darren Leiker and his spouse, Beth. Iowa Park City Manager, Mr. Jerry Fleming. President of the Shepherd Military Affairs Committee and former Mayor of Wichita Falls, Mr. Glenn Barnum. President of Midwestern State University, Dr. Stacia Haney and her spouse, Scott. President and CEO of the Wichita Falls Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Ron Kitchens and his spouse, Lynn. Executive Director of the Burke-Burnett Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Christina Pindle. Thank you to all other special guests, friends, and family of the official party, senior national representatives, Team Shepherd commanders and command chiefs, NGIPT country sponsors, M1 support services, the Military Officers Association of America, the Order of Dedalians, and all the hardworking men and women of Shepherd Air Force Base. Today, we pay tribute to Colonel Mitchell J. Koch as he relinquishes command and give honor to Colonel Jeffrey D. Shulman as he assumes command of the 80th Flying Training Wing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Commander, 19th Air Force, Major General Clark J. Quinn.
All right, good morning. Chaos, can you put the formation at ease, please?
Wing.
Through.
Attention. Hook. At ease.
All right, everybody's probably thinking that means Quinn's going to talk for a really long time if he's putting people at ease. Somebody's got to scratch their nose, somebody's got to relax a little bit, so please enjoy a few minutes. Speaking of talking for a really long time, I did a change of command last week, and my mom, I'm going to do a mom story, She sends me a text every morning. It's usually good morning, it's really hot in Florida, looks like it's hotter in Texas, something like that. But she knew I was doing the change of command, so her text last week was, good morning. If you're giving a speech, keep it short. That'll keep everyone happy. So I'm going to try and do what Mama says. So good morning. Greetings to the men and women of the wing. Thank you for joining us today and celebrating this occasion. It's truly an honor for me to be here presiding at the change of command and to be able to spend time with the airmen of this wing and equally as importantly, the community surrounding it that supports it. It took me almost 30, or actually over 30 years before my first visit to Shepherd, but I've become a frequent visitor the last few months, as protocol is probably very unfortunately aware. I'd like to start by acknowledging that it's only been 2 short months since we did this, since I presided at the last change of command. Lucky, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but you and your family knew it would be a short time, but I'm going to guess that doesn't make it any easier to give up the guidon of this historic wing. For Lucky, for your family, I'm going to repeat what I said 2 months ago when we stood up here. Thank you, Amber, Nolan, Micah, Elijah, and Eden, for your service to our nation by supporting your husband and father. Your encouragement and support throughout his career, and especially the last 2 months, and especially the last week and a half, have probably meant more to him than any other person in uniform here. I know your support means more than any words I can say, and I thank you in advance for continuing that great support as he resumes the role of deputy. To Colonel Shulman's family, hi, I haven't met you, but Bree and your children, Taylor, Emmy, Evan, and Evie, welcome. Welcome to Shepherd. It's nice to meet you from the stage, and I look forward to meeting you immediately after this. Welcome to the wing. Welcome to the 19th Air Force family, and thank you in advance for all you're going to do the next 2 years. Having been a Kunsan graduate myself, I'm glad the family is back together as well. I tell you, I promise it's going to be an adventure, and the 2 years will go by fast. Enjoy it while you're here. And I know that we also have Colonel Shulman's mother visiting, so thank you for attending today as well. And I will tell you that getting him started on the right path is the reason that he's on this stage today, and I know that you're the main reason for that, so thank you. So I'll apologize in advance if I missed any key family or friends. It is absolutely my fault. Do not take it out against either of these guys. So the narrator, thank you. You highlighted the majority of the distinguished visitors in the crowd. No pressure, but there's a recently graduated NJEF wing commander here watching all this and taking notes. So hopefully he grades me well also. So thank you for all in the community and the wing that are here today. It's through this patriotism and support of this community that makes the wing as truly outstanding as it is. Thank you for being here today. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone involved in setting this ceremony up. Some of them are extremely visible. We have a commander of troops, we have a formation of troops, we have a narrator, we have a band, we have an honor guard. They're easy to see. Some of them are far, far less visible. Somebody wrote the script that the narrator is reading. Somebody set up all these chairs. Somebody towed the airplanes in here. I probably will never know who all of those folks are, but it means a lot to these 2 guys, to me, and to their families, and I thank you for that. Know that your work in setting this up is greatly appreciated. So AETC, Air Education and Training Command, the mission is to find, recruit, train, and educate the airmen our nation needs. The 80th Flying Training Wing excels at all of those. Whether it's a trainee in pilot training or a first-term airman assigned here for their first assignment in the Air Force, this wing is an example of how to do it right. Over 1,700 personnel and a fleet of over 200 aircraft, you conduct the world's only internationally manned and managed undergraduate pilot training program. I'm only going to say this once, the Euro-NATO Joint Jet Pilot Training, and from now on it's NJET. Participants from 14 nations partner together to execute over 60,000 flying hours and train more than 200 U.S. and allied pilots each year. The wing absolutely lives up to its vision of being the world's premier pilot training program. The 80th Flying Training Wings strengthens partnerships. It trains fighter pilots. It develops the most inspired, proficient, and adaptive warrior leaders for the NATO alliance, ensuring readiness for future warfights, and developing airmen with the competencies that are needed for any challenge. Not only is it the starting point for many aviators' careers, it truly lays the foundation of how our NATO alliance functions together. I can't tell you how many different places I've been in around the world where I've seen a partner from one of the 14 different nations, and there is a common bond of having been to the United States and been through Shepherd that instantly bonds us together. And that's through lieutenants all the way up to the general officers throughout our alliance. We, as an alliance, must possess the capabilities to deter aggression, project power, and defend our interests across the globe. And this wing is the leading edge of developing that. We build airmen that are ready to fly, fight, and win at any time and at any place. Change of command is a truly momentous event for everyone. It's an opportunity to thank the outgoing commander, understand the expectations and vision, and see the new commander. And it's also a chance to reflect on the accomplishments of the unit that they have respectively been entrusted to lead. Additionally, as all commanders know, no organization is successful without a command team. While this event is focused by nature on the outgoing and incoming commander, I would like to take a moment to highlight, just as the narrator did, that standing behind me today is Chief Scott Bradbury, as he assumes the responsibility of command chief for this wing. Scott will be the commander's #1 wingman to advise and to help execute the mission every day. So Scott, I'm going to turn away from the microphone for a second to make eye contact. Thank you for your unwavering service to our Air Force and to the members of the Alliance here at Shepherd. Now it's my pleasure to briefly acknowledge the exceptional work that Lucky has done and to welcome Juice. So Lucky, you were unexpectedly called on very short notice to step up and lead this wing, and you excelled. I was given multiple different options of how to fill what was going to be a known gap, and I did not hesitate in selecting you to lead the wing. You were ready when we needed you, and you stepped up without missing a beat. I made it clear 2 months ago when we were standing on a different stage and when you took command that you were not acting, you were not temporary, you were the commander. Frankly, all of us are acting in our roles as commander, whether it's for 2 months or 2 years. It's the role that matters and the person that fills it. It's not the amount of time. We're all temporary in nature, so the responsibilities and the expectations are the same no matter the length of time, and you met and exceeded all of them. Your steadfast leadership and focus on mission, airmen, and community have been a bedrock for the wing, both during your time as a deputy and during the period you led. No airman, no squadron, no wing expects to deal with what you had to deal with in the last week and a half. We know there's inherent dangers in what we do in flying fast jets, and you in this wing know that all too well as well. I thank you for always keeping the care of your airmen at the forefront of your mind. Lucky, your impact will be felt far beyond just the period of time that you led. And I'm very, very happy that we're going to get to keep you as you resume your role as the deputy commander here and to keep the Koch family as part of this wing. Lucky is leaving the 80th in the capable hands of Colonel Jeffrey Juice Shulman, who I crossed paths with many, many years ago, but had not seen until probably 15 years until the bus here earlier. He joins us after serving as the deputy commander of the 8th Fighter Wing at Kunsan, out in Republic of Korea. While there, he assisted the commander in leading more than 3,200 personnel in support of the planning and execution of military operations on the Korean Peninsula. And I'll tell you, he won't be able to admit this because as the deputy commander, he had to like all of his squadrons the same, but I'm just pretty sure he was a JUVAT fan. Oh, jeez. That was the wrong answer. All right, Juice, you are a combat experienced command pilot with more than 170 combat hours in the F-16 and more than 2,200 hours in fighter aircraft. You served as an instructor in the F-16, and you are no stranger to AETC, having previously served as a T-38 Introduction to Fighter Fundamentals instructor and evaluator pilot earlier in your career. I'm confident that under your leadership, the 80th will deliver the airmen our respective nations need and will build upon the exceptional results that have been the benchmark of this organization. Juice, I'm sure it's clear that you're inheriting a team of incredibly motivated and innovative airmen. I charge you to empower your team to achieve mission success, to forge the next generation of our nation's warriors, to ensure readiness, and to develop airmen with the competencies to fly, fight, win against any competitor, anywhere, and at any time. I can't wait to see how your leadership shapes this wing. Congrats to you both, and let's make it official.
Thank you, General Quinn. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Mitchell Cope, Commander, 80th Flying Training Wing.
Well, good morning to our distinguished visitors, General Driggers, our commanders, chiefs, senior national representatives, community leaders, family members, 82nd Training Wing mission partners, and men and women of the 80th Flying Training Wing. Thank you so much for being here today. Band of the West, thank you for driving up from San Antonio. I feel like we're next level since we've got an actual live band for the ceremony. That's pretty amazing. To Aaliyah and the protocol team and everyone who was part of the setup and teardown crew, I caught a small glimpse of what you were doing yesterday as you were setting up this stage and the area in here in the heat of the day and the humidity, so it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you for what you've done and making this a great ceremony. And to Goldie, Lieutenant Data, you're doing a great job. Thanks for your work as Projo and narrator. Chaplain Francis Pope, you not only led a great prayer, but you have bore an incredible weight that you've carried for our team over the last week and a half. I'm very thankful you're on our team. The M1 maintenance team, number one, you look great in formation. Thanks for joining us. OG, you look amazing too. But I want to say thanks for clearing out the hangar. I know you used this space, and for the phenomenal Heritage T-38, it looks great. And like General Quinn said, if there's anyone I missed, I apologize. I know there's a whole lot of work that went in behind the scenes. I'm very appreciative of what you've done. If the length of my comments today were limited to my tenure as wing commander, I'd have about 30 seconds to talk. But I'm gonna take longer than that, because I feel like we've been through a lot in the last 2.5 months, and especially the last week and a half, and I gotta acknowledge that. With the recent and tragic loss of our coworker and friend, Captain John Robertson, we have carried a heavy weight as a wing. We've mourned together, we've supported one another, we've celebrated his life with his family together, we've checked up on one another, we've prayed for one another, and we've walked down this road together to decide whether or not to resume and when flying operations. As a result, we've learned to listen and understand one another better. And we've developed and strengthened the trust that we've gotten in one another in a way that only walking through tragedy together can do. This is the small miracle of NGEP, a program that takes 14 separate nations, setting aside our differences and coming together as one to lay the foundation for NATO's air power. This is the spirit of NGEP. It's a resilient warrior spirit that's still alive at NGEP, despite our recent solemnity and tragedy. We understand that our mission is to strengthen partnerships, train fighter pilots, and develop warrior leaders for the NATO alliance, and that must move forward. It is critically important for the NATO alliance in this time of consequence, as my leaders say, where the students we train today will be generating the combat air power for tomorrow. They will play an absolutely critical role in deterring our enemies, whether in the Middle East, in Europe, or the Pacific. And if necessary, fighting and winning our nation's wars, and protecting the NATO alliance. And they will assist in upholding the global rules-based order that has allowed our democracies to flourish for decades. With that in the back of our minds, we continue to move forward, whether controlling aircraft, managing the airfield, forecasting weather, inspecting aircrew flight equipment, maintaining networks, maintaining aircraft, or training students. So as we move forward, we remember and honor JR's memory, while we continue to love one another, our students, and the incredible mission we've been given. I'm proud of you all, and I wouldn't want to serve in any other wing. Before we can transfer the guidon, though, I need to acknowledge some incredible folks who have had a significant impact on me and Amber and this wing. So first of all, General Quinn, sir, you were very generous with your words, and I am honored you trusted me to lead this wing until Colonel Shulman's arrival. You gave us your intent, and you allowed me to lead the wing in the way and the manner that was best for us and that we needed, giving us the space to make our decisions and yet supporting us every step of the way. I couldn't have done it without your support, and thank you for making it a joy to work for you. To Amber, I can't thank you enough for the rock you've been. I'm gonna try not to choke up here. You are amazing. You've been my counselor, my advisor, my best supporter, and my source of strength in very difficult times. I've been amazed to watch the way you have cared for not just our family, but the spouses and the students and the spouses of IPs who needed you most during this time. You've opened our home up to those who needed just a talk. You've held multiple sessions where spouses could meet and process the loss. You've discussed the tragedy. You've mentored student spouses through their sense of grief and loss and fear. And you've encouraged all of us along the way. Thank you. You are just what the wing needed. When I think of you, I think of Proverbs 31. It says, an excellent wife who can find, she is more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. I love you and I'm thankful for you. To Nolan, Alasia, Micah, and Eden, you four are amazing kids. I'm so proud to be called your dad. I appreciate the hard work you do and the way you do well in school, but that's not what matters most. What matters most is the character that you are learning and have displayed over the last several years as I've watched you grow. You show respect to your teachers, you care for one another, you're kind to other students, especially the new ones, and you've got a good attitude most of the time. Mom and I have been really busy over the last year, especially the last 2 months and especially the last week. We have missed some of your events that we would have loved to have been at, but I thank you for the way you sacrificed so that we could support this wing in the way we needed to. You've been patient, you've had a great attitude, and you've been very understanding. I love you, and I think you've already got the small gift I got for you. To Colonel Chaos Serrell, Commander of Troops and Wing Deputy Commander for the last 10 weeks, you led the wing during nearly a month of my TDYs. You did a great job. You are an excellent advisor. I needed your advice. You excelled as a leader and you were a friend along the way. I couldn't have done it without you. You stepped in as the ISB president role without missing a beat and played a really important role in getting our wing back to flying. Well done. If you've seen The Wizard of Oz, you know that while there was a big machine with a lot of smoke and a lot of show, there was actually someone behind the scenes pulling the levers, making all that happen. That person is Marty. Thanks, Marty. What an amazing secretary. She kept me on time, organized, on point. She did it all with a smile. And she mentored me along the way as well. Her years of experience resulted in advice that was always spot on. Thanks for keeping me from drowning and for being a great friend. I really appreciate it. Commanders and SNRs, along with our 82nd commanders, but especially for the 80th Flying Training Wing commanders and SNRs, between the steering committee, issues with student dorms, and the last week and a half, we've walked together through a lot. I appreciate the candid feedback, the way you lead your folks well, and the support you've shown me as we wrestle with the best way forward. I appreciate each and every one of you. To our IPs, our mission happens day in and day out because of our support personnel and because of you and what you do, flying multiple times a day in the heat, caring for our students, moving the timeline forward, and mentoring each other and our students, especially through trials and traumas, for those who have experienced this in the past. Thanks for engaging with our students and doing it well. To the students in the crowd, I love your enthusiasm and attitude. Some of the favorite parts of my day are flying with you and watching you learn. Keep up the hard work and dedication. It'll be worth every tough day and every hour you put into studying, I promise. So here's the best part. I'm not leaving. In just a minute, I'll be handing over the guidon to Colonel Juice Shulman and stepping into the Deputy Commander role for the next year. Juice and Bree, it's been great to get to know you over the last several days. And I can attest that this is the right couple to lead our wing forward from here. Colonel Shulman's experience as an F-16 pilot, both experience in combat in the Pacific Theater in Korea, make him the perfect person to keep us focused on the why behind everything we do. I am excited to support you as you lead this amazing wing, and I can't wait to see where you take us. And also, having walked through crisis with Chief Bradbury and Lisa, I already know we're going to be great partners as we support the Shulmans and the NJEP wing. Thanks for everything you've done to support us since the first day you arrived, and I look forward to working together over the next year. With that, it's been a privilege of a lifetime to serve as NJEP's wing commander. I am equally thrilled to continue serving as the deputy over the next year. And with that, let's get back to the business of training pilots.
Thank you, Colonel Koch. Men and women of the 80th Flying Training Wing will now render their final salute to Colonel Koch.
Wing.
Group.
Attention. Hut. Present.
Present.
Hunt. Order.
Order.
Hunt.
General Quinn and Colonel Shulman, will you please join Colonel Koch center stage? From ancient times, militaries throughout the world have conducted ceremonies to commemorate victory over the enemy, to honor comrades in arms, and to celebrate special occasions, such as the Change of Command. The Continental Army of the United States conducted the first official Change of Command ceremony in America. This is the basis from which present ceremonies are derived. Today, the primary purpose of a Change of Command ceremony is to allow subordinates to witness the formality of command change from one officer to another. Major General Quinn will now officiate the Change of Command as command of the 80th Flying Training Wing is officially passed from Colonel Koch to Colonel Shulman. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the publication of orders. Department of the Air Force, Headquarters, United States Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Order Number G24002. Under the provisions of Air Force Instruction 51-604 and effective 22 May 2024, Colonel Mitchell J. Koch relinquishes command of the 80th Flying Training Wing, Air Education and Training Command, Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas, by order of Major General Clark J. Quinn, Commander, 19th Air Force. And effective 22 May 2024, Colonel Jeffrey D. Shulman assumes command of the 80th Flying Training Wing, Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas. Signed, Clark J. Quinn, Major General, Commander, 19th Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please begin.
Eddie.
And ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Jeffrey D. Shulman, Commander, 80th Flying Training Wing.
Thank you for everyone for coming out today. For our protocol leads and everybody in this room who did more work on this than me, thank you very, very much. To our local leaders, distinguished guests, General Driggers, the 82nd Leadership, community partners, it's great to see you and thanks for coming out and taking the time today. General Quinn, thank you for your trust and confidence in letting me lead the 80th. Interesting enough, when I was a cadet, I wanted to get into NJEP and I wasn't smart enough to get in. So thanks for finally giving me my shot. I'll try not to screw it up. To Amber and Lucky, thanks for leading the wing the last few months. I know it's not been without its challenges, but I know that the wing is better because of your leadership. Bree and I are very appreciative of your grace and hospitality in welcoming our family and look forward to having you on our command team. Chief Bradbury leads on the kids. Thanks for saying yes to joining us at Shepherd. Bree told me if I've done anything right, it was hiring our command chief. Well, it was really Lisa. She doesn't say I do things right a lot, so that's a huge win for me. To my wife, Bree, you once again juggled kids and family while I was off flying fighter jets in Korea the last year. Like many of our spouses, the Air Force has asked too much of you over the years. The Air Force, thank you for always being there. America and the Air Force owes you some mojitos. To our kids, Taylor, Emmy, Evie, and Evan, aloha, or hey y'all, I think that's what we say in Texas now. As much as you drive us nuts, you're great kids, and I'm sorry we had to move away from your friends on the beach. But I think you'll quickly find some good friends here in Texas. Enjoy the candy. And to my mom, thanks for coming out here and raising me with compassion. For every bit of it I have comes from you. We both know Dad would be proud and we wish he could be here. I have small gifts for each of you. Not too much sugar. But. Finally, to the 80th, our NJEP team, which is our ops, maintenance, reservists, contractors, and civilians. Y'all are airmen and family now to me. Get used to me saying that. I know we've had a few tough weeks here at NJEP. Bree and I were saddened to hear about the loss of our recent instructor, Captain John Robertson. Our job's a dangerous one, and it's easy to think that because we do it so well, there's no risk in combat aviation. That's wrong. I know there's nothing I can say or do to help the loss of a friend, son, and wingman. How our cause is just, and I'm sure that JR believed in it. He'll be remembered. With every rep and set we do here at NJEP, you will honor him. You see, our youngest students will remember JR 20 years from now. I still think of my 2 instructor pilots who I lost 20 years ago when I was a T6 student at Moody, Captain Judd Brinson and Captain Lee Moore. I haven't forgotten them. NJEP won't forget JR. In the 43 years of our program, it's 75 years of the NATO alliance, I'd argue that our mission is now more important than ever. We make fighter pilots and combat pilots for NATO. These pilots, when needed, will fight and win our nation's wars. Failure is not an option for the wing. It's not in the card deck. Having just come home from the front lines of the Indo-Pacific, I believe that the world is more dangerous than any point in my lifetime, and the line that divides peace and major combat operations is as thin as it's ever been. Our European partners are seeing it firsthand with Ukraine, and the Middle East is once again at the center of the news. Let it be written and said that our mission is to ensure that our airmen from 14 different nations of all ranks leave here ready to go. That means everyone, from our instructor cadre to our air traffic controllers. We don't make widgets at NJEP. We make airmen who will lead large-scale joint and coalition operations in combat. Every sortie we fly, every set and rep must count for deterrence, for NATO, for freedom, for our fallen brothers, sisters in arms, and for JR. You see, this is something I was taught on a cruise a few years back. Rick and I were lucky enough to go on a cruise with no kids. It was awesome. And one morning we got chatting to an old Korean War vet. And I actually really don't remember too much what we talked about. We shared some war stories. It was actually pretty non-eventful. But as I got up to leave the table, the man, probably in his 70s to 80s, quickly stood up, looked me straight in the eyes and shook my hand. And he told me, "Sir, you trained them right, for they will never get a second chance." That look in that veteran's eyes have stuck with me for years. It hit home. It reminded me that our job is to ensure that our instructors, wingmen, and airmen are ready to go to war at a moment's notice. Air power enables freedom of movement for the joint force. It just doesn't deter wars, it wins them. And nobody builds air power better than NJEP. Thank you for coming out today, and we look forward to meeting you all. So let's go get after it. Let's start burning some JP8. Let's end these quiet hours. Our adversaries are watching. Let's put on a show and make some noise so they can take notes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Shulman. The men and women of the 80th Flying Training Wing will now render their first salute to their new commander, Colonel Jeffrey D. Shulman.
Wing.
Rope.
Attention. Hut. Present.
Present.
Hunt. Order.
Order.
Arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the T-38 at the right of the stage as the wing flagship is named in honor of our new commander. Ladies and gentlemen, as we end this ceremony, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and remain standing as the official party departs.
Group commanders, take charge of your groups and dismiss them.
Maintenance crew. Dismiss.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's ceremony. The reception follows at the Shepherd Event Center. Buses will start leaving in 10 minutes and be picking up on the west side of this hangar. Thank you.